Alright guys, so today's lesson is going to be 18.2 use time intervals for Wednesday, April the 1st, 2020. So let's go ahead and look at unlock the problem. So the essential question says, how can you find the start or the end time when you know the elapsed time? Now let's remember that elapsed time is the amount of time it takes for an activity to be completed. So basically from beginning to end, how long does it take for something to do or for something to happen? So let's look at unlock the problem. It says Jacob begins working on his oceans project at 1:30 p.m. He spends 30 minutes painting a model of the earth and 12 minutes labeling the continents and oceans. At what time does Jacob finish working on his project? Okay, so my first question says, what time is given? If I look back on the problem, my time that is given is 1:30 p.m. And this is my begin time or my start time. So 1:30 p.m. is going to be my start time. I'll label it start. Then my question goes on to say, what do I need to find? Well, if I look at my question, it says, at what time does Jacob finish working on his project? So here the key word is finish. So here I'm looking for the end time. What time will he finish working on his project? So this is the end time. All right, so let's look at what do we know. Well, we know that he spends 30 minutes painting and then a 12 minutes labeling. So that is going to be our elapsed time. So we'll make a note up here and we'll put ET for elapsed time. And we're going to put 30 plus the 12 minutes it took him to label. So the total ET is going to be 42 minutes. Now remember that ET is how long did it take him to complete the activity. So let's see how we can solve at what time did he finish by looking at a number line. So first here on a number line, we have the start time, 1:30. Here we're looking for the end time. We're not sure what the end time is. What we do know is that the ET, elapsed time, is going to be a total of 42 minutes. Because again, remember, it took him 30 minutes to draw his model of the earth and then label. The 12 minutes to label his earth. So I have a total of 42 minutes. So what that means is that from here all the way to here, it has to equal a total of 42 minutes. So I'm going to use a number line to count that time. So you can choose the size of the jumps that you want to do counting your time. You can count by 5s, you can count by 10s, you can count by 20s, whatever is easier for you. So let's go ahead and add and count by 10. So I'm going to add one jump of 10. My time is going to be 1:40. I do another jump of 10. My time is going to be now 1:50. I do another jump of 10. My time is going to be 2 o'clock. I do another jump of 10. My time is going to be 2:10. Now, again, remember, I have to make sure that the time that I'm adding has to equal my elapsed time. So if I count 10, 20, 30, 40, I have 40 minutes. So if I were to count another group of 10, I would go over my time. So here I have to go to something smaller. So if I have 40 to get to 42, all I have to do is add 2 more minutes. So if I add 2 minutes to 2:10, my end time will be at 2:12. So the jumps end at 2:12. So Jacob finishes working on his project at 2:12. Okay? All right, so let's look at another way using an analog clock. Now, an analog clock, here it's showing the start time. Again, the start time was at, let's go ahead and write it down. The start time was at 1:30. That is the time that the analog is currently showing. Now, remember that the elapsed time was a total of 42 minutes because we added the 30 minutes it took him to do his model of the Earth, and then the 12 minutes it took for the labeling gives us a total of 40. So then I can go ahead and use the analog clock to skip count a total of 42 minutes. So here they counted 5, this would be 10, this would be 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then I count by 1, so it'd be 41, 42. So my hour hand would be at 2, and my minute hand would be at 12. So my ending time will still be the same as 2:12. Okay, so that's how we do to find the end time. Now let's look at some problems where we're looking for the start time. All right, so now we're looking at finding the start time. So when we're finding the start time, we're going to have to work backwards because we're going backwards on the number line. So let's look at the problem. It says Whitney swam laps in the pool for 25 minutes. She finished swimming at 11:15 a.m. At what time did Whitney start swimming? So when you're looking at these questions, you're really going to have to make sure that you underline your question and look to see what time is it asking for. Is it asking for the start or the end? This question here is asking for the start. So let's write what we know. I know that the 25 minutes is the amount of time it took her to swim. So that is the length of my activity. So that is going to be my ET, elapsed time. So we're going to label ET 25 minutes. I also know that she finished. Again, the keyword finish is telling us that that's the time that it ended. So then I know that my end time, and we'll label E for end, is 11:15 a.m. Okay, my question is asking for my start. So my start here is going to be my unknown. That is what I'm looking for. So let's see how this would look like on a number line. So again, here we have the question and here we have the number line. So when you're working on time on a number line, you always want to label your start, end, and elapse. So this right here is going to be our end time. So we're going to label it with the letter E. We want to know what is the start time, which would be over here. Okay. Again, remember, we know that from the end to start, it has to be a total of 25 minutes. So since I have the end time, instead of adding time, I'm going to have to count time backwards or subtract time in order to find at what time did it start. So again, when you're jumping on the number line to count time, you can count in any increment that you want, 5s, 10s, 20s, whatever's easier for you. Let's go ahead and count by 5s. So I'm going to take away, in this case, because I'm going back, -5. If I take away 5 minutes, my new time is going to be 11:10. If I go back another 5 minutes, my time is going to be 11:05. If I come back another 5 minutes, okay, my time will be 11 o'clock. If I come back another 5 minutes, my time is going to go to 10:55. So I count 5, 10, 15, 20. I have 20 minutes so far. I have to have a total of 25, so I need to do one more jump of 5. So I'll do -5, and that will put my starting time at 10:50. So you jump back to 10:50. So Whitney started swimming again at 10:50. Okay, so let's see how you can do it on an analog clock. Okay, so on the analog clock, it's the same, kind of like the same thing, except again, we're going backwards. So here on the analog clock, it shows the time of 11:15. That is the end time. So I'm going to count backwards a total of 25 minutes to find what would be my end time. So I start at 0, count 5, this would be 10, this would be 15, this is 20, and this is 25. So again, my clock, since my minute hand is going past 12, my hour hand is going to go back an hour to 10, and my minute hand is also going to point at 10. So my time is going to be 10:50. Okay? All right, so go ahead and try to complete the share and show on your own, questions 1, 2, and 3 for extra practice.